had to accept that and acknowledge that and forgive and all the terribly difficult things that come with that. I had to tell my parents, I had to, it's this, and by the way, it's one of these things that you work with for the rest of your life. But from that most difficult thing also came a kind of understanding. I get high marks on compassion. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it is part of what made me me. So the truth is, it's not what happens to us, it's what we do with it.
The forest represents the darkness, the unknown, the edge of your world. And it takes the courage of a hero to go into that forest. The people in your community don't understand why you want to go into that forest. And in fact, they're pulling you back, asking you, why can't you be happy with what you have here? But there's this urge that exists within the hero to go and explore.
Joseph often used the Knights of the Round Table when they behold the golden chalice.
There's a story with King Arthur and his knights.
After the knights have seen the Grail and decide to go forward on a quest,
they made a vow.
They decided that the knightly thing to do, the noble thing to do as individuals seeking their own in the collective, was to go in to the forest at their own points.
Each knight enters the forest where it was darkest and there was no path.
They cannot follow other people. They have to go in, find their own entry into the dark forest.
And Campbell makes it really clear, if you go into the forest where there's already a trail, that's the one sure sign that you're not on your path.
Because if they follow somebody else's entry, it's somebody else's path.
That's not going into the forest. That's not initiation.
You need to find your own path, and that kind of comes from that impulse within to go out and really discover who you are beyond just the narrow confines of how you've been conditioned, what you've been told to do, and go out and explore for yourself what your truth is and how you can go out and rock it. The hero's journey for me is having the courage to look within yourself and say, what am I here to do? What am I most passionate about in my life? What are my greatest gifts? How do I give them to the world? And Joseph Campbell captured it with the phrase, follow your bliss.
Follow your bliss. I don't think more profound teachings have ever been given than this one.
Follow your bliss means listening to your heart and following your truth.
There's something specific about the word bliss. It's not ecstasy. It's not happiness. There's a serenity in bliss.
I like to talk about your bliss as the thing you can't not do. So it's your authentic journey.
I'd heard follow your bliss, but I didn't know where it came from. And what's cool is that it's grounded in deep Hindu spirituality and philosophy, and it comes from the Upanishads. There were 3 launching points into enlightenment: Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So Sat means beingness, Chit means consciousness, and Ananda means bliss or rapture. Joseph Campbell said to himself, I don't really know what my beingness is. If I'm honest with myself, I don't really know what my consciousness is, but I do know what my bliss is, and I can follow my bliss. And that idea of trusting ourselves and trusting that deep impulse within us to go out and follow our bliss, do what makes us feel most alive, that's the path, that's the key, that's the essence of the hero's journey.
Follow your bliss does not mean get addicted to pleasure.
It's more than just something that you wish for.
It doesn't mean escapism. It doesn't mean hedonism. It doesn't mean selfishness.
It doesn't mean listening only to sensory pleasures like having sex with anybody you look at or sticking up a candy store if you want candy.
Don't follow what other people think is your bliss. Don't follow your wallet. Follow the thing that's presenting itself as your most serene and fulfilling state.
Sometimes it's difficult to let go of that inner resistor and just say, okay, I accept the possibilities of the present. I will follow my bliss. I will listen to the call of spirit. That's a very big deal.
Daddy said, what do you want to do? I said, I need to leave school. I'm never going to learn anything. I'm not going to university. I said, I want to play drums. I've learned to play drums in the attic, and that's my world, and totally naive, like, psh. So Dad sends me off to London with a drum kit. So I went to London, and all of it came true. Of course, I'm not sitting here, I've got to be rich and I've got to be famous, but I have to be doing something I love to do. And I have so much passion, and I didn't even know what that was really all about, but I do now.
How do we find our bliss? This is what everybody is asking.
First thing is ask yourself, what am I passionate about? You know, what are the things I love doing? What are the activities when I engage them, it feels like hours go by in minutes? That's one big clue about what your bliss is.
What I say is, find out what you most love to do, and then do more of that thing.
Ask yourself right now, what was it that made me different as a child? What set me apart? What caused me to cry at night in my pillow because I didn't fit in with the in crowd? That is probably precisely where the door to your bliss is going to open. Go back and find it.
Let's say you never had to think about money, and you never had to think about time. If you had all the money in the world and all the time in the world, how would you express yourself, and how would that benefit the ecosystem, the larger web of being?
We have to find a way of reflecting on those experiences we've had that engaged us and where we became lost and totally absorbed in them. So for some people, a way to do that might be to write these things down. Others don't think like that. They don't like to use words all the time, so maybe collect some images, cut some images from magazines, collect music that's always inspired you. But some way to bypass that outer barrier to your own sense of energy.
It's not about being successful. It's not about feeding your family. Write some bad poetry. Do something that gives you that moment.
You can write in a journal, because writing in a journal is a conversation you have with yourself. You can get to know your gifts, your talents, your weaknesses, your hopes, your dreams, your lessons.
Joseph Campbell always gave the same advice to his students graduating Sarah Lawrence. Don't do what Daddy says, because Daddy has one interest in mind for you, and that's your security. And if you bargain away your life for security now, you will never find your bliss.
I started skating because my older brother was into it. And I enjoyed it, but I didn't take it that seriously until the first time I went to the skate park and I saw these guys literally flying out of empty swimming pools. I got so excited that that was even possible as a person to be, to be flying in the air with a skateboard in your hand. Once I saw what was possible and what you could do with this thing that I had come to enjoy, I had to keep going. I mean, I just wanted to fly.
I think it's really important to do things that make you happy, and I know that sounds very obvious, and some of the viewers might say, well, now let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya, but when you look at every great inventor, every great business person, every great scientist, you look at these people who have gotten to the so-called mountaintop, and almost every single one of them to a person didn't do it for the money. They did it because they were chasing their bliss.
If you're following your dream and you're doing what you love, it's not always going to be a financial success, but it will be a personal success because you are still doing this thing that you love doing, and what's more important.
I would describe my discovery of surfing exposure. I was just watching surfers and watching what they were doing and what surfing was all about and the routes that they were taking and the ways they were doing it. I think I knew subconsciously before I knew consciously. I think I knew that I was going to do something in surfing. I knew that surfing was going to be a big part of my life, so I wanted to absorb all the information I could.
Just because you don't know what the call on your life is right now doesn't mean play ostrich and stick your head in the sand and say, well, just because I don't know it, I guess I shouldn't move towards anything. The very fact that you're looking for your bliss means that you're in the process of getting to your bliss. I mean, part of life and part of the whole journey is exploration.
Human resources are often buried very deep. We don't know they're there. And we don't know they're there often because we don't look for them. We don't take the journey. Some people found them, and many people have not found them. And because they've not found their talents, they think they don't have any. I believe passionately that we all have deep talents. Go looking. Try things you've never done before. If there are things you wish you'd done, but you never did, well, why didn't you? Go and do it. Try. If you always go the same route to work, take some different route. If there are people you never speak to, go and speak to them. At least put yourself out there. But don't anticipate what you'll find.
Put yourself in uncomfortable situations at least every 7 days. If at least every 7 days people aren't laughing at you or scratching their heads, wondering why you're dreaming so big or doing what you're doing or have such a fierce resolve to achieving your goals, then I don't think you're stretching enough. And ultimately, we grow the most through the things that stretch us the most.
My personal journey, I was bright enough, I got into the best university, but a part of me need the journey. I was interested in the West. So I jumped at the next opportunity to get a scholarship and then get on the boat and my slow boat to the West. It took 14 days. I landed in Portland, Oregon, and to be a foreign student, I stretched myself. I arrived, I know very little English. I go to a class called English for Foreign Students. I learn English, and I embrace the Western culture. I stretch myself. So suddenly I see a part of me which I never knew was there.
One of Joe's most beloved quotes about bliss is that when you follow